What's up? I'm Big Bob. First, I'd like to make a shout out to our executive producer, Mrs. Brenda Ringwood, who is also the executive director of the Becoming the Best You Foundation, which we're very much a supporter of. And today we have a distinguished glitterati. For those of you who don't know what glitterati means, it means famous person. From Dallas, Texas.
Fort Worth, close enough.
Anthony Russo. You might know him from watching sports on television or stuff, but we'll find out more about that. Anthony, welcome.
What's going on, Big Bob? How you doing?
No, it's what's up, Big Bob.
What's it's funny. Whenever I start my lives, I always go, what's happening, everybody? And literally my girlfriend wants to stab me every time I do that.
Well, why don't you try what's up instead? And maybe she'll be your girlfriend a little longer. Anyways, Anthony.
Yeah.
For those of my audience, and we got about 14 people who watch this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, you got to start somewhere. Who are you and what do you do?
So I've been a professional speaker for a long time. I've owned a couple successful businesses. One specific, I owned a promotional marketing and staffing firm for almost a decade, and that's where I can at least pretend as though I have a good track record in business when I do motivational speaking. But I do advice and coaching on marketing, and then I am the on-field host for a decade for all the college championships for sports for the NCAA. And
really?
Currently,
all sports are just.
I did a bunch. So I did for all the major NCAA sports. I did the championship for men's college baseball, women's college softball, men's lacrosse. I did some women's volleyball thrown in there, and I did the Division One subdivision football game, the FCS championship. I did that for a full decade, so I got to see the Bison quite a bit.
Do you have to know a lot about each of these sports to call it?
I have to know enough. Like I consider myself a modern day Cliff Clavin from Cheers. Like I know just enough about nothing to get me into trouble.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to picture you at the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever play lacrosse?
Never played lacrosse. I played a lot of the other stuff. So I played baseball, played football. I'm not very good at volleyball. For example, right now I do a lot of rodeo work. I was on the Cowboy Channel for a bit as a host. So I was a city boy until like 3 years ago. So I just picked things up very, very quick.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, and then moved to. Yeah, it's somewhat near where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the other side of Missouri. You play sports in high school, college, professional. What did you do?
High school is where I played all the sports. I was actually the only sport that I was the closest to going pro in was actually bowling. Fun fact. I've always been above 200 average bowler. Still can. I can actually bowl my left hand too.
I got a great bowling story to tell you when you're ready for it.
Well, I want to hear it right now then.
All right. So we have flooring stores. And one day, one of my warehouse guys comes up to me. He's about 22 years old. He says, "Hey, Big Bob, will you sponsor me as a bowler, a professional bowler?" I looked at him and I said, "What? What makes you think you're good enough to be a professional bowler?" He says, "Well, I'm 23 years old. I have 39 300s and I have 11 800s. And bowlers don't hit their prime till their 30s. And I said, "Let's go out and see how you can bowl." So I watched him in a local tournament and I saw him roll a 300. I said, "All right, I'll be your sponsor." And we went to Vegas for the tournament, the World Championship a couple of times. We didn't cash. I made some money on the side stuff, but Dick Weber recruited this kid to be on his team.
Nice.
By the time he's 30, he quit bowling, burnt out, because he'd been there, done it, seen it all, and he'd been doing it since he was 6 years old, didn't want to do it anymore.
I mean, I still to this day love bowling. I cannot imagine. I mean, they bowl 150 games a week. That's a people don't realize how much of a grind that would be on your thumb, on your arm, on your elbow, and on. It's just the same thing over and over.
Both
and over.
elbows, both elbows.
Yeah.
The arm you bowl with, the arm you drink with, both elbows.
That many 800 series is actually really. I mean, the 300s are impressive. My flaw was I was never a 300 bowler. I was a consistent 220, 220, 220, 220 all the time. But I miss bowling. I actually still really like bowling. The one thing I'm getting back into from my past is now I'm doing commissioned artwork. I actually went to art school on a painting scholarship. So people laugh about my business stuff that I do and all the marketing. And I literally went to school on a painting scholarship. And now I'm getting back into it now that I'm 41 years old.
Anthony, is any of your stuff printable or is it all original?
What do you mean?
Well, you paint a painting, you have an original. Have you made copies of the original in prints?
So it's funny you say that. So the gift that I got my girlfriend's parents for Christmas was I painted it because Kelly, my girlfriend, was in the Calgary Stampede this last year for the first time, one of the biggest rodeos in the world. And I had this really great picture of her walking in the stadium, and it's got Calgary Stampede. It came out really, really good. So I'm actually going to be making prints of it, seeing if Calgary Stampede wants it or if anybody else wants it. But yeah, I know how to do the prints, but I've literally, when I say I just got back into it, I did that and people started reaching out about commissioned work. So that's what I'm on my first truly commissioned painting right now.
I did an oil painting when I was in high school. Otherwise, I can't relate.
Did you make prints out of it?
Nobody be interested in what I was doing. Are you kidding me? Let's see. How did you get in broadcast?
So interesting story. So I was, it was 2005 or 6. And it's kind of, I one of the first things I ever talked about with people was the fact that you never know what moment's going to completely shift your life. So this is, you know what? I'm going to go back. I don't always talk about this, but I'm going to go back to the beginning of when everything shifted. I graduated from college.
We got 72 more minutes.
No, this one could take at least 3 hours. So I went back to, I'm going back to when I was a senior in college. I gained a decent amount of weight. And I remember talking to this girl that I had met, and she said something to me. She's like, "You're still cute, but you've put on a little bit of weight." So in that moment, I decided to start, instead of like being like, I don't care, I decided to start losing some weight. Next thing you know, I'm running marathons. And next thing you know, I get a job in liquor promotion. So I was a Budweiser boy in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's how it all started. There was a coworker that couldn't do a job that he had set up on the weekend. He said, "Can you fill in for me?" And at the time I said, sure. It was a $12 an hour job. It was for the Coca-Cola Spirit of Champions is what it was called, which is how I ended up meeting everybody from the NCAA. And I just decided I took the gig, and everybody there was like, "Hey, do you want to do this with us?" And what we would do there for that event, like travel the road, travel the country, we would drive the trucks, we would set up the event, we would manage the staff, and we would MC all of the sporting events. So we would MC like the games with the kids. That's how it started. So 2006 was the first time I was on microphone. And then I met all the people from the NCAA. And I remember in 2009 at the National Lacrosse Championships, or 2008, they said, "Hey, can one of your best MCs," which was me, "go inside and do a 2-minute promotion on the field for AT&T or whomever it was?" And that's how it all started.
You said Budweiser?
I was a Budweiser boy. Yep.
I got one question.
Yeah.
Do you still drink Bud Light?
You know, I don't actually drink much at all anymore, but if you want to get political, I thought
I was going with this.
You know,
I stopped drinking Bud Light.
As somebody that really, really, like, I haven't bought Nikes in a decade. I don't shop at Target anymore. A lot of the things. What do you drink instead, I guess, should be my first question.
I drink water and coffee.
That's literally all I've had to drink today. But I don't drink much. I don't drink much at all anymore. If I'm gonna have a drink, it'll typically be whiskey. If I'm gonna have a beer during the summer, I typically would have been a Coors Light drinker. But to be honest, they're just as bad as Budweiser. Like they all do the same things. And the one,
Anthony,
yeah,
when I'm out with people and I don't know them, if they order a drink, I'll order a drink also.
Yeah.
I'll have one, but it's only to show them I'm not a recovering alcoholic.
right.
They feel comfortable drinking. I'm not uncomfortable with it. I don't want to be judged as a non-drinker because I'm a recovering alcoholic. So I order the one drink.
So what do you usually get?
Either it's usually Crown on the rocks.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah.
And I'd rather do a whiskey drink. But again, the whole Bud Light thing, I was gung ho against what they were doing as a company. And then now not in retrospect, but the way that they've moved away with it, they've made strategic partnerships with non-woke companies like the UFC and some of their people they've chosen to use in their ads, not the Travis Kelce's, but the other ones.
So you can buy friends.
You can buy friends, but the way that they spun it the best way, and the way that they've spun it is, and I know this for a fact, how many Americans that are hardworking Americans have lost their jobs at distribution companies and actually that worked for Budweiser. It's not their fault per se. I think the company took a big hit from a large frame fiscal perspective, but from the fact that there is tens, if not hundreds of thousands of American employees, I'm like, all right, they're all not any different. If I'm going to drink a beer, I don't care if it's Bud Light. I don't care if it's Coors Light. I think the point was made, and that's where I go from there.
I think Disney is catching on too.
I don't know if they're catching on. They're still doing woke remakes. I haven't seen them turn the corner that Bud Light has or Budweiser has.
All right. How do you transition from one sport one day to the next sport the other day? Is it just a widget that you just got to pronounce the names right?
So sport, for the most part, the big sports are the big sports. And that kind of commentary translates as long as you know the rules and some of the main players. So I don't do commentary. I literally do fan engagement. So that's what I've done. That's what I do now.
So you're still a Budweiser boy, but working for somebody else.
Very similar. So I do more fan engagement, but I have to be able to relate to what's going on in that sport. So it's like Fox Big Noon Kickoff is my biggest gig right now. And that's all college football season. I'm the behind the guys on TV. I'm the MC for the crowd. I work with, Matt Leinart and it used to be Reggie Bush. I work with that whole crew. Urban Meyer, yada, yada, yada. I work with them, and then I translate it to the crowd, and I work together. I essentially am creating a show. That's more of what I do instead of just straight sports commentary. What I was doing for rodeo, however, I had to take a crash course to be able. I was doing the sports center, per se, for rodeo for 2 months with Cowboy Channel.
All right. So if you had to design an ideal job description for yourself with your background, and let's just stay in the sports. We don't have to go outside of sports what your ideal job would be. But in the sports world, what would your ideal job be?
Sports world, my ideal job, I think there's a certain point where, I'm 41. Can I keep doing what I do for the fan engagement stuff is exhausting, and I have to be in the best shape of my year. I have to be for doing that. So I would say, recaps and commentary, like post game recaps. That would be my ideal and best job.
Would you want to work for an NFL team in the office, a general manager type stuff?
I don't think so. No, not as a general manager. Not my thing. I'm more on I would like to still be involved more on the entertainment side than anything else.
Well, I think you're very entertaining.
Thanks. I try. So by the way, change the subject real quick. Did Brenda tell you how she was telling me a little bit about you? And then, and I was driving through Oklahoma and I saw Big Bob's right after we got off the phone. I was like, I wonder if that's the Big Bob. And I saw one of the
Highway 35.
Yeah,
that's us.
I figured that out. It was quite ironic that I had literally just got off the phone with Brenda, and then bam, and we were talking about Big Bob's or Big Bob, and then Big Bob's right there on the side of the
Is
street.
that the reason you agreed to do the show? Is because we had roadside billboards while you're driving down the highway?
No, she said that there's a chance that if I'm funny enough, you'll take your shirt off. So that's the whole reason I just decided to do.
No, I'll take my shirt off on your show. I'm not going to take it off on my show. Yeah, I can't afford to lose any of the 14 people who watch.
You might gain some. Everybody's into something different, you know?
Not at my age. It ain't pretty. Ain't sexy anymore. Are you married? You have a girlfriend.
I'm not. I've never been married. I have a girlfriend of 3.5, little over 3 years at this point. She's a professional barrel racer. She's crushes it. She ended the season ranked 18th last year in the world. So learning about rodeo has been kind of a crash course, and about barrel racing through her.
That leads to a whole lot of questions we can't do on air.
I can find a way to clean them up if you want to ask them. Trust me.
Well, are you the barrel or are you the rider?
I am the whipping boy, if that makes any sense.
I'm sorry. To those 18 people who might be watching that, I apologize. I've stepped out of bounds a little bit. That wasn't so funny. It was inappropriate. I apologize.
Should have said, am I the barrel or am I the saddle? Then it would have been a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Are you the barrel or the saddle?
I'm still just the whipping boy. I was just framing the question better for you, but I still would have gone to the whip.
Anthony, I got a visual. Thank you.
That's good stuff.
Let's see. Do you travel a lot?
All the time. So for a while I used to say my home, if you want to send me mail, was actually in the exit row of an American Airlines aircraft because I was always flying. So, but I travel on average once or twice a month.
Have you ever thought of doing it the John Madden way?
The bus? No, I'm not a big bus guy. But the thing is, I really don't care. I like to drive too, but I don't care about traveling. I don't get stressed out about it. I can sleep anywhere. Like I'll catch up on sleep on a plane, on a bus, on a car, even when I'm driving. Just kidding. I can. What I will tell you, I'm going to tell you a story. The Kelly and I just went on a snowboarding trip a couple weeks ago, and this is the first. I've probably been on, to estimate, maybe 800 to 900 flights in my life. First time this ever happened, we were taking off. We were past the taxiing. We were going full speed to take off, and the pilot slammed on the brakes, completely slammed on the brakes while we were like the front wheels were up, came back down. We thought maybe somebody cut us off, whatever it was. There was
across the highway. Yeah.
Nobody, we couldn't see it. Nobody came across. Turns out one of the service engine lights came on as he was speeding up and had to slam on the brakes just to check to see if it was an issue. Turns out it was a real engine issue. So we could have been in trouble if we would have taken off, ended up having to change planes and all that stuff. So that was the first. I've had an engine go out mid-flight where we were down to one engine. I had that happen once, but this was the first time we had to slam on the brakes before we took off.
I'm on a flight once flying into New York, and where the pilot says we're going down to LaGuardia, and he tries to make a pass. He says, "No, the wings are frozen. We're going to have to try to land at Kennedy instead because it has a longer runway, and we're going to have to turn the heat up max to see if we can defrost the wings and all, and hopefully we can land safely. But we don't. It's the same thing in Newark, and this is the longest runway, so we're going to give it a shot here." And there must have been 6 or 8 people who throw up as the heat inside the plane got so nasty. And I'm sitting next to a woman who's playing with her beads. And I said, "You got nothing to worry about." She says, "What do you mean?" I said, "Today's not my day. And if I'm going to survive, you're going to survive. So there's no pressure here."
Go ahead and put the rosaries away. We're good to go.
The rosary away. We're good.
That's funny.
Yeah, not really. It was scary, but it's the serenity prayer.
Yeah. Accept the
I
things you
mean,
cannot change.
I can't change it. If today's my day, there's nothing I can do about it. Oh, well.
True story. True story.
What do you do for recreation?
I like snowboarding during the winter. I don't have much. Honestly, I'm a weird one. I don't have a lot of time anymore.
Time out.
Yeah.
Brenda, he's weird. Why did you book me somebody who's weird?
Tell me something I don't know.
I think
Okay,
you're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
appreciate this weird. Because when I'm weird, I love what I work on. Like I've never had a single 9-to-5 job. So if my schedule is completely full, and a lot of the stuff I do makes zero money. I do a lot of political commentary. I do a lot of podcasts that are, I do little motivational pep talks. A lot of this stuff I do completely for free. I'm sure someday it'll pay off. I do Fox Radio once every couple weeks. Go ahead.
If you want to come to Kansas City, sell some flooring, we got a spot for you.
Just go.
You can do that for free.
I'm not doing anything else for free. But I don't have a ton of free time between we have 12 horses here. I do a little bit of help with Kelly and the ranch.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, she's got I don't get to ride them because they're all super high performance, and I'm not professional by any means. But I have so much going on. I've got a book that I wrote. I've got a million things.
Do you get to clean the stalls?
You know what's funny? I love cleaning stalls. That's the only thing I know I can do. And that's where I get to take my phone, because I do a lot of social media stuff. So I take my phone, I put that away, and I get to actually just do that. Maybe I'll listen to a podcast when I'm on.
Anthony, you seem to be more the type of guy who can deal with bullshit and horse shit.
True. But in the end, it's all shit.
It's all shit. But you
But I don't mind doing horse shit. I do. It's a good, it's funny. It's a good, fun. We also, what's that?
This is fun.
This is fun. No, we also own a spa that doesn't do very well, because we live a couple hours away. It's Kelly's spa, and then I've jumped in to try to help out. And that one, we have a lot of external stress. If we could, and that's one of the biggest things. Like if I could be from the outside looking in, is trying to find a way to kind of cut some of the loose cords like that. But I have so many different things that I do that free time is not really an option. But everything that I'm doing, like when we get off this call and I go online, I'm making social media posts. It's not really work to me. I really do enjoy it, and it's not work.
A lot of people would come to me and say, Big Bob, you work so hard. I said, that's not true. If I could have slept in late today instead of coming to work, I can go home and have a nooner. I can go see a movie. I can go play poker. I can go play golf. I can do anything I want. If I choose to come into the office, it's not work for me.
Right.
It's my form of recreation. I'm stuck doing 3 hours of work a week, the stuff I really don't want to do.
Right.
That's work. The rest of it is my joyful recreation. And if, as a business owner, if you don't have that mentality, go work for somebody else.
Yeah, you'll make more money.
Yeah.
Make more money, less stress, absolutely. But I'm not gonna. You yada yadaed over something very quickly. You gave all the options of what you could do. Did you say you could go home and have a nooner?
I did say that.
What do we have different opinions or different thoughts on the verbiage of nooner, or are we thinking the same thing? Are you married?
I don't know. I think the term nooner has been around for more than 41 years. So yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
So are you married? I take it.
Nah, technically, no. Yes, in a committed relationship.
Okay, so somebody's at home.
Somebody's home waiting for me to come home.
For a nooner, just in case.
Anytime.
You dog.
Thank you.
Oh, that's good stuff. I like it. See, there are those 14 people. There might be an audience that want a little bit of Big Bob. You know what I mean?
The thing up in the schedule, we're down to 14, 13 now, 12. Yeah, it's not working well.
Yeah, well.
But why am I doing a podcast?
Yeah, why are you doing a podcast?
I'm not doing a podcast to monetize it, to make money.
Right.
There's three reasons. My partner, Ann, who's not here, asked me to do one with her. 2, ego gratification. And 3, I need the stimulation. I still got juice left. So where else do I get to show off the juice I got?
What? So when I started doing podcasting, it's interesting connection. So somebody that Brenda and I both know, Jeff Martinet Jr. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, met him, as one of our mutual friends.
Yeah, Car Wreck Jeff. Yeah, I know.
Car Wreck Jeff. There you go. So he had me come on in the beginning of COVID. He had me come on his StreamYard, and I didn't know what StreamYard was, and I ended up, I've used StreamYard probably for over 500 shows now, or more than that even. And he had me come on, and then with COVID happening, it was March or something, and I needed to vent. So like you said, like I just needed to, for ego or for whatever it was, I need to talk about all the BS that I'm seeing in the media, medical profession, et cetera. And I came on and I'm going to do a show called Truth Will Set You Free. And that's how it all started. That's all my social media channels, in truth, our Truth Will Set You Free base. And it was all based off of that initial video. And then we kind of skyrocketed after George Floyd, because I got an influencer that ended up becoming like a brother to me, who just got out of January 6th jail. And that's how we went from nobody to 40,000 followers and all that stuff. So
Anthony, I've been living my life. The truth will set you free.
It's a great quote.
Because I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Are you not
allowed to say the F word?
Brandon doesn't like me saying that word, but I say it a lot when the camera's not on, but I'm not allowed to say it when the camera's on. I'm sorry.
I don't give a...
Right. I don't. So, like I said before, there's nobody who has something that I need that I can't live without.
Right.
So I'm not going to sell my soul or kiss some ring or some butt for something I don't need. Why?
Right. But talking to people, so the thing with podcasting is it is fun. I would, based on the size of my audience, like to monetize more than I do with my affiliates, but it's also a weekly release. I would love to be making enough money in all the different worlds that I do, which is getting there to the point where I could just have my podcast as a hobby. But I spend a lot of time with politics. I spend a lot of time with politics.
Anthony, you're not good enough to make money at this.
Well, you're not good enough to be a male stripper either. So there's that.
I was.
Is that how you got the nickname Big Bob?
How else do you think? Why else do you think they call me Big Bob?
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to make a
I'm
weight
only
joke.
6 foot tall. Why else do you think they call me Big Bob?
Oh man. So how did Ann convince you to do this pod? What is the purpose of why did you guys want to do a podcast?
Ann was the ghostwriter of my book, and she's a friend. And when a friend asks me a favor, if it doesn't cost too much money, the answer is always yes.
Yeah.
And so she said, I'd love to do a podcast with you. Will you partner up with me? And I go, absolutely. So she does about 60% of them, and I got to hold on the fort for the rest.
I like it. So what kind of general topics do you like to make sure you cover on every episode?
Well, we focus on the guest, and I get the guest to give up. It's like, what's behind the curtain?
Yeah.
You own a restaurant. Let's pull the curtain back and see what is it really like to own and operate a restaurant. You're a pastor. Let's pull back the curtain. Let's see what it's really like to run and organize a church congregation.
Yeah.
What are your challenges? What are your problems? What are your rewards? So whoever I'm talking to, it's about them and what their life might be behind the curtain. So I'm quick enough on my feet to talk about sports with you.
Yeah.
Or whoever the next guest is. I'll make up enough good questions to sound like I'm interested and informed.
You got, your pictures, like all the pictures you got all over the room are like, they're right up my alley. You got a picture of the pool, got the rack and the pool balls. And then you had the picture. Was that the
Rack Your Brains? That's Rack Your Brains.
Rack Your Brains. Oh, is that a famous painting?
No, I found an artist who was selling it and I bought it, and it's Rack Your Brains.
I like it. It's clever.
Instead of balls, They're all brains that
Oh,
are painted in pictures.
I can't see it. Okay, got it. But now the one next to you, however, let me see it. See, that makes a lot more sense now. Now the one that I can't see that I saw earlier, a little bit the whatever way it is, that one. So if I were to choose my favorite sport is actually boxing. So the Muhammad Ali George Foreman picture, that one's great.
And I've only asked for 2 autographs in my entire lifetime. The picture above that is me and Terry Bradshaw, and he signed the autograph.
Oh, that's cool.
I was 21 years old. I was working a football camp. He was a pro for 1 or 2 years. It's geez, this must be 72-ish, 71, 72. I think he'd been 1 or 2 years in the pros.
His brain's about 90 though. I know he's good on air, but I could tell you when the cameras stop rolling, everybody that's told me about him, he's struggling. He struggles once the cameras turn off.
Right. His shtick don't work.
Yeah, I mean, he got banged around in a time where people got banged around way too much. Do you think are you a football fan now?
Yes.
Do you think football will look the way that it does right now 10 years from now?
Of course not.
I can't imagine it. I think that there's going to be way too much science against what's happening to these NFL players personally.
Anthony, everything's going to change. Whether it changes in the next 5 years, 10 years, or 50 years, everything's going to change.
So what?
I mean, let me go politics on you for a sec.
Go for it.
I grew up in the late 50s, 60s. I was becoming a teenager, becoming a little bit aware. If you had said to me, East Coast,
yeah.
If you had said to me, what's going to happen first in America? Legalize marijuana, a man on the moon, a woman president, a black president, gay marriages, whatever else we've had that. Oh, the Berlin Wall coming down.
Yeah.
Right. What's going to happen last? I would have told you gay marriage.
Really?
Because it was nobody could talk about it. I mean, that was such a taboo. The whole gay community was in the closet.
Yeah.
And today it's celebrated on the front page of the papers and on the 6 o'clock news. Celebrated.
Yeah.
As I celebrated also.
Yeah.
Glad everybody gets to make their own choice.
Agreed.
But our society, the pendulum has swung so fast, we can't recognize all the changes. So we talk about football 10 years from now, whether it's 10 years, 20 years, everything's going to change.
Yeah.
Everything changes.
I agree with that. You brought up you want to go down a rabbit hole. This is one of my favorite topics is the moon landing. I mean,
you're not a conspiracist, are you?
I am in certain areas. There's two major things that are rooted in our three that are rooted in our society that I have trouble with. One, the most obvious, Building 7 and 9/11 did not collapse itself. There's no way you can convince me that something wasn't weird about Building 7 on September 11th. Number 2, Helen Keller, the whole story cannot be actually possibly true. It's not plausible. It's completely impossible. She was either blind or she was deaf, but not both, not fully by any means. And lastly, the moon landing I struggle with. I don't think if you would ask me 2 years ago, I would have said there's no way there wasn't a moon landing. And now I am actually that conspiracy theorist. But we do have a round Earth. I'll be very clear.
There's a start. There's a start. And by the way, aren't we lucky we get to live in America where everybody has an opinion?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because in some countries in this round world we live in, they'd lock you up for being nutso and crazy and throw away the key because you weren't fitting into society, and they don't want you to contaminate the rest of us. But thank goodness we're all Americans here.
Agreed. And that's the great part about this country. I will say the moon landing is probably going to be the hardest one to argue back and forth just because it is so entrenched in us. The Helen Keller one, once I have conversations with people, they typically see my viewpoint on that one.
Well, if she did not have above average intelligence, I could agree with you, but she had above average intelligence.
Where'd she get her intelligence from?
The IQ, you're born with an IQ.
You're born with an IQ, but you need a frame of reference. She was 18 months old when she lost all of her facilities.
Well, she would never be able to know that a fire truck is red. Right?
Yet she wrote about them.
Right. Very good. I didn't think you knew that. But she could know that there are colors besides black.
How?
How did Mozart write music if he couldn't hear music?
Because first off, it's vibrational. And second, he was able to reference something from his childhood. So Helen Keller was 18 months.
I didn't say play music. I said write music.
Correct. So he's still using the reference. So you could still see. You still have to have some faculties to be able to see. Helen Keller was 18 months old. The only, in all of history, the only other blind, deaf people that have been able to live normal lives, not even extraordinary lives, but normal lives, went blind, deaf after the age of 7 years old, because at least they have a frame of reference. People go, I always say, how did she know that what a cat was? And they say, well, she can feel it, but she never was able to get the baseline of what a cat was. So how do you expand from there to the very end? And I just firmly believe that I think that she was blind and not deaf personally.
Are you familiar with the term deist?
Like, yeah, deist from a
religious movement. It basically is nothing exists unless I experience it firsthand.
Correct.
So if I've never been to Dallas, Dallas does not exist because I have not experienced it firsthand.
Okay.
Right? And the universe is only my experiences.
Okay.
I can't subscribe to that. I have to subscribe to this. Most of what is unknown to me. The majority of everything in the universe, I can only know a grain of sand worth of knowledge of what the universe has. All the rest of it, I'm going to be open to. Convince me one way or the other, and I still can't. I have faith, but there's a big difference between faith and knowledge. I have faith in God. I have belief in God. I can't know that there is a God because I haven't touched God. And I want to believe, and I have the faith, but until he puts his arm around my shoulder and say, I be he, it's just a faith. It's not a knowledge. And that's awfully deep, and that's not ready for another conversation. But I'm a great believer in I don't know what I don't know, which is most everything. So I don't know if Helen Keller could learn or not. I don't know if there was a moon landing or not. I don't know what happened on 9/11. I can have opinions, but I don't know.
Yeah. No, and that's the way to and I always say the person, and I reference this all the time, the only person that's 100% wrong is the person that thinks they are always 100% right. And that's, am I leaving there to be a chance that Helen Keller is a 100% true story? I will leave that opening. I just firmly believe the opposite based on my logic behind it. I don't know how we got into Helen Keller, but I love talking about the Helen Keller topic.
You brought it up. I never thought of Helen Keller before. You brought it up.
It stemmed from the moon landing conversation, and that one's a little bit more contentious.
That's another one you brought up.
No, you brought up the moon landing. I think you did.
Red flag. Let's provincial red flag.
Oh, you mean the red flag that was blowing in the wind on the moon where there's no wind.
What did you think of the football games and the AFC championship games?
I was happy with KC winning. I'm a Mahomes fan. I'm not a Travis Kelce fan, but I'm a big Mahomes fan. I don't care about Taylor Swift. But I do like the Chiefs. I do not like the 49ers. I was really, really hoping for the Lions to make their first Super Bowl, and that they lost that game. San Francisco didn't win that game.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you got in the Super Bowl?
I'm going to have the Chiefs. I can't stand the 49ers. So I've got the Chiefs all the way. And we've got we've got the kids BTBY event the day after the Super Bowl or 2 days after the Super Bowl. So I want to be able to have a rallying cry for the kids.
Well, tell me a little bit about BTBY.
Becoming the best you is something that I have, and Brenda, obviously she's helping you produce the show. Brenda and I go back to we met through, what'd you call him? Car wreck, Jeff? Car
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You said it.
No. You said it. I didn't say it.
Nope, you said. I've never said it before. Anyways, so we met through Jeff, and when she started it, I spoke at the first couple events that she had, and it's a group of people that we find a way to take the idea of bettering yourself through much different messages. My message is overcoming failure. My dad was a compulsive gambler, and I use his thought process behind it to translate that on how to become the best you. So I consider I always call myself a failure expert. I know it sounds weird, but that's the message that I bring to becoming the best you. But Brenda has put together a team of people like Terrence and names I suck with, but there's so many different people I've met over a long period of time besides Terrence and Jeff, and that literally have the ability, Ruben West, great speakers that all have their own spin on how to become the best you. And that's what her program, that's what her, I guess the movement is. I was part of it for a period of time in the beginning, and I've been on I've helped them with some of their live streams, and then now I'll be helping with some of the youth stuff that they're putting on as well.
How involved are you going to be in the BTBY movement?
I was very, very involved in the first, I guess, year or so. As we're moving forward from a youth perspective, I want to make sure that I am fitting what the needs are of Brenda and the team. So I'll be a part of it to the extent where it's mutually beneficial. I'm providing something that's special to the people there, and it's something that I know is on the right path for my speaking as well.
So a little bit of my understanding what BTBY is and is going to evolve to is there are going to be 4 distinctive pillars, and one pillar is going to be health and wellness. One pillar is going to be emotional and spiritual. One is going to be financial, survival to success, and one is going to be service. And in each pillar, I hope to see someday 3 divisions: a juvenile division, a senior division, and a general population division. And if this movement grows the way it could possibly grow, everybody can participate in it, because everybody can become better for themselves through one of these pillars. And once you perfected yourself, you certainly have enough service to give to others. And so it's about serving our community and helping those who need help to get better. And that is how I'm going to become a better person, is by helping other people become better.
And it's such a large industry. So while you were saying that, I was looking it up, because self-improvement, self-help in 2019 alone, and this is before, I think, when it got hyper accelerated during the pandemic, it was $11.6 billion industry in 2019. I think it's just growing. They're estimating it to be 14 billion. I think it's going to be even higher than that personally by 2025. So from a fiscal perspective, people spend money in order to enrich their education on how to be better with themselves. So it is a field that financially, for those that are thought leaders, it's a big deal. And also there's always a void. And I people are always like, nobody wants to hear my message. Nobody wants to, they do. There is a certain niche you can always follow. People forget in America alone, there's 330 million people. And like you said, if you break it apart to the general population, seniors and juvenile, you've now pretty much done almost that 330 million minus the 0 through 5 year olds. And there's always a way to connect with somebody. And for small business owners that try to be speakers or coaches or whatever it might be, people think that you need to have 1 million followers or 1 million subscribers and 1 million customers, 1 million clients. You need a dedicated 50, and you could literally live happy, and you could also help 50 people get through the daily lives and the BS that they go through. So really there's a world for everyone, and everybody just, the best thing people need to learn is how to take their story, get rid of any of the victim mentality that they might have from what has happened to them or what they go through, and become doers and practitioners, and then share that with everybody else.
Absolutely. We are all broken.
100%.
Right? Some of us use our past as crutches and excuses for why we can't mainstream and or why we can't be better.
Yeah.
You have to throw away your crutches. You have to forgive yourself or somebody else for all the misdeeds that have happened to you, bad decisions that have happened to you in the past, and start your day today on a better path to become a better you. And making a better choice, there's much better consequences than continue to making bad choices that lead to more bad choices.
Yeah.
In everything, how much you eat, how well you listen to your parents. Do you hang out with the wrong people? Do you not take care of your body? I mean,
Right.
In every possible way, you're making a choice to either become better or not become better, to be better or not to be better. That is the question.
That is the question. And you know, it's the problem. And the thing is, take all the things you just said.
Yeah. Write that down. To be better or not be better. That is the question.
I think that could be a BTBY ad of you saying that, by the way.
Hey, that's what I told Brenda to write it down.
I think so. I think it's a good idea. We're recording, so don't worry. It'll be saved someplace.
I don't know if she's going to publish this one.
Well, it'll still be saved. It'll still be archived. No, the key, you talked about all the choices we make, and one of the most frustrating choices that most people make, and this is where I consider myself, my zone of expertise, is we avoid all of our mistakes and we avoid the failures instead of really. There's a difference between sulking in a mistake and sulking in, the negatives that happen to us and learning from them. So we avoid the pain. We avoid the heartbreak from a failed relationship, a failed business, a failed job, instead of learning from it. So that's another choice that we make that is a huge problem. And it's those micro adjustments, learning from those mistakes.
There's an expression of failing forward.
Yeah.
I really love, and I think that's part of your message. One second. There's a piece of paper on that basketball that I just put up there. Would you grab it? So I heard something over the weekend. It's Scotch tape up on that basket, right? Next one over. Yeah, that piece right there.
The other ball. I
read something this week I'd like to share with you.
Go for it.
It is one of the more powerful messages I've heard in a while. Tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times.
That's America right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the cycle is you have to raise warriors. Your children, your next generation have to be warriors to break this chain that is historically correct. And if you don't break the chain, history will continue to repeat itself. And how you break it is vote for Trump, don't vote for Biden, get more better leaders, get the country on the right road again, unbreak some of this crap that's happened. Strong men have strong times.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a deeper philosophy to that. So I always like that quote. But and Tony Robbins talks about this a lot too. There's cycles and seasons, and it seems historically to follow 100-year pattern. And the question is, like you said, we had strong men, and then and then now we're in the phase of hard times because of weak men creating hard times. So we're going to bounce back out of that. There's a cycle where the pendulum has to swing in the opposite direction. Is there a way of avoiding it in the future? I don't think so. I think it's to control your own life in that moment.
The third party prevents the pendulum from swinging too extreme either way.
I agree.
And I think that's part of the solution in America.
A third party, we've talked about this a lot too, because again, like I'm a constitutional liberal. I vote Republican at this point for the most part. I think that they are two wings on the same bird. The establishment is incredibly corrupt. I think although Trump isn't perfect, he is by far the better choice right now. I'm also a big Robert Kennedy Jr. fan. I think he made some statements, and
that voice of his is unelectable.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was Ron Paul's issue as well. The thing is, he grew in popularity for a period of time, and he was doing really well, but he managed he lost some of the conservatives when they brought up some of the comments he made about climate change in the 2015, 2016, but he answered a lot of those. And you're right, his voice is a problem, but his philosophy is more me, and it's a lot of freedom and civil liberties. And I do believe in protecting the environment. I just don't believe fully in the issues of climate change being man-made. I think it's cyclical more than anything else. But I think that we are in a world where we are in a country that if there is going to be a third party, as much as people are going to hate this that are in the moderate to left side, Trump has the ability of doing that because he hates Republicans. He grew up a Democrat. He lived as a Democrat for a long period of time. There is still an old school philosophy of liberalism with him. He's a little bit more middle ground on a lot of different random social topics. Gay marriage, he was always on that side. He's even a little bit grayer on the abortion topic, which from a perspective of elections, I think is important to try to find a middle ground conversation instead of being a staunch pro-lifer, because yes, that is a belief system. I am pro-life myself, but I don't think that I can speak for the whole. I don't want to put myself in that category. And I think that Trump covers an area where he can potentially be a third party starter. It's not going to be this election, but he could create something out of it because of his populist ideals. He hasn't needed the media to back him.
Anthony, I could probably sign off on almost any compromise between the two extremes. I mean, gun issues, border issues, abortion issues, the middle ground. I can accept the middle ground, and I believe 80% of America can accept the middle ground. The problem is nobody's running on our platform.
No,
it's non-electable. You have to be an extreme to get elected, and that is one of the fallacies with America.
It's extremely electable from a general perspective, but because of our system of primaries, you can't get out of your own party. That's the problem. Right. So, like, for example, I use this reference, and because people don't pay attention outside of their box. Kansas is one of the best references to the way we should be discussing probably the most difficult voting subject, which is abortion. Kansas is a red state. And I think that across the board, it should be a ballot item, not a governor item, just because then you are allowing the free will of the people. Roe versus Wade was unconstitutional. I will stand by that every day. But I think there should be a state. It shouldn't be Governor Abbott, an older white dude, that makes the laws for the whole state. Make it a ballot item. Kansas, a fully red state, 60-40-ish for Trump in the 2020 election, around there, 58-42, somewhere in that area. When it became a ballot item, it was a pro-choice state, 56-44, I believe, 56%. So it shows that it shouldn't be a decision by one part of leadership because it is such a gray area topic for voters.
What a novel idea. People should have a voice on what's going to happen.
Crazy, right?
Where do you come up with these stuff? People should actually have a voice on what their government does. And how the laws of the land should be applied for us as the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
My gosh, what a concept.
Crazy. It really shouldn't be that difficult, but the people that are in power want to hold on to so much power that's the problem.
Greed and power.
Yeah.
One of my solutions would be you declare your net worth the day you run for politics, and you're only allowed to make 10% more per year. All the rest is taken away from you and given to charities.
Why not? Your job is to serve, and that's why.
If you're going into politics to make money, I don't want you in politics.
No.
If you're going into politics to serve our community, thank you very much. Left or right, if you represent the people, as long as you're not doing it out of personal greed, come on in, jump in 2 feet, make it happen.
And to not realize how dirty our system has become, look no further than the story that just in the last week or two just happened with Carrie Lake. You've got your own party trying to give you millions and millions of dollars to shut up. That's why, I mean, Carrie Lake, I think, is a little bit ultra MAGA to the point where she has trouble with a middle ground vote. But to show what she did, and this was that recording was about over a year ago, I believe, from what I understand, of her getting essentially bribed to just say, sit out for 2 years. That's your own party. That shows how entrenched the establishment is in screwing over the everyday American and just holding on to the power. I don't think our government, since the days of slavery, I don't think our government has been as broken as it is right now, which when things are broken, that's when you fix it.
There have been two, and I'm not a historical, and I'm not that much into politics, but there have been two pivots in my lifetime. Maybe Joe Biden is the third pivot, but two major pivots. One was LBJ getting elected over Barry Goldwater, and two, Ross Perot dropping out and Bill Clinton got elected. Because if Ross Perot had gotten elected instead of Bush or Clinton, the trajectory, not only the United States, the whole world would have been way better off for it.
I agree.
And those 2 minutes, those two pivots in history changed everything. Trump was never supposed to get elected.
No,
we were never supposed to know the possibilities of what somebody like Trump could bring to the table. And Trump was just a mouthy Ross Perot who's saying, let's do it. What works for America is the most important. First and foremost, I don't need your money. You can't bribe me. You can't influence me with anything other than what's best for America. That's what Ross Perot's message was. That's what Trump's message is. Neither one of them are polished politicians. Oh, well, but that's part of the problem.
And here we are. I like you. Now, this is a fun question with that. If there was a new political party, we've got the elephant and the donkey. I have in my head, and I saw it on a hat, and I was like, this would be the new political party animal. If it was a new whatever party, Patriot Party, middle ground, whatever it is, what is the animal you would associate with that?
Unicorn.
You went a little mythical. Okay, I went buffalo. I like buffalo. I think a buffalo fits that perfectly. I like buffalo.
How about a bald eagle?
The bald eagle, I think, is symbolic to me of all of America. That's
right. And by the way, I sat down in a meeting of naming a third party.
Yeah.
And we were in a brainstorm conversation. And my suggestion was the United Party.
Okay.
Republicans, Democrats, United Party.
Yeah.
And the eagle would have been our animal. And basically, it's be an American first. Vote for United America.
Yeah. My buddy actually we were talking about the Unity Party, same as United, right. It's a Unity Party. See, I like the eagle because it's all of America. I mean, bald eagle is my spirit animal. If you're into that stuff, it's my spirit animal. But no, buffalo, what's that?
I mean, my spirit animal is a buffalo.
Is it really?
No.
Oh well. So
I'd like it to be.
So Buffalo, what they do is they go headfirst into the storm. That's why I like, I'm like, like they're the ones that face everything head on. And I think at this, at the formation period of what this third party would have to be, it's now, and it speaks for everybody, but at the same time, it's going to go through some crap in order to get to where it's going. That's why I like the Buffalo. I like the Eagle too. Unicorn.
Look, you didn't give me much time to think about it. Unicorn was the first thing came to mind. And do you have any information you'd like us to flash across the screen, your name, email address, home phone number? Is there anything you want us to share?
My social security number is you could just Truth Will Set You Free USA is the place to always find me on stuff. My motivational personal. So Anthony Michael Russo on Instagram, and Truth Will Set You Free USA for more of the political stuff. And
send me a copy.
Done. Well, I'll bring you one. I'll bring you a signed copy when I see it in a couple weeks.
Wonderful. Brother, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it. Had an absolute blast.
Pleasure. It was all mine. Thank you so much, Big Bob.
Till next time.